I stated the facts, time periods, and the rule of Russia. In this episode, I will discuss what happened afterward and the dirty work that turned this assassination into a mystery. To start off this new episode, I will explain what happened with the three women that claimed to be Anastasia. The first woman was named Eugenia Smith. She fit this role because she wrote memoirs as in the point of view of Anastasia. These memoirs also included a lengthy description on how she had escaped her captors. The second woman was named Nadezhda Vasilya, surfaced in Siberia, who was imprisoned by the Bolsheviks because she resembled the Princess Anastasia. She died in a mental asylum in 1971. The third woman was Anna Anderson. She claimed that she was Anastasia because she had said that she was rescued from the basement by a sympathetic guard. She battled for recognition as Nicholas's only surviving child from 1938 to 1970. The courts in Germany disagreed because there was a lack of evidence to support her case. To go against all three of these cases, though, they did do DNA testing, which drew the conclusion that none of the people were tested positive for being Anastasia. The Romanov family, from the very beginning, is a tragic family, due to many and various causes. Gely Ryabov explains. Alexander II was blown up by what they called Narodnaya Volya, or the People's Will Revolutionary Group, in 1881. Because of this, his only hope was his oldest son, Nicholas. He died in Nice in 1865. Basically, the whole entire family had rested on him. His next oldest son was Alexander, but he did something that no one could have ever seen coming. He married the fiancée of his late brother, who was the Danish Princess Dagmar. This information stunned me to know that the family would be so messed up. This really made myself ask a question that started as why did the Romanovs disappear, but changed to something a lot more complicated, which was how. There are multiple descriptions of the Impetov house before it was destroyed. This is one of them. It was a darkish mansion, 1.5 stories. Behind it was an overgrown garden, surrounded by a fence. I walked around that house the whole entire night. This was also reported by Gely Ryabov. There was 11 people. They were Nicholas II and his wife Alexandra, their children Alexei, Olga, Tatiana, Maria, and Anastasia. There was also the chambermaid Anna Demidova and the cook Ivan Kharitonov, and the butler Alexis Troop. All 11 were killed that night in the downstairs basement of the Impetov house. Mikulin and Yurovsky that night woke up around 2 a.m. and escorted the whole entire family and workers down to the basement, which they had specially chosen for this kind of act. The men that were meant to kill the family were obviously more anxious than the actual family members, because this has happened before, so they were used to having to be escorted to different parts of the house. Yurovsky then said, "Nikolai Alexandrovich, your relatives abroad wanted to save you, but they did not succeed, and so we ourselves are now forced to shoot you." Each man had his own person to kill, so it should not have taken as long as it had taken. But it took a total of 1 very long minute to kill the whole family. Nicholas II and his son died first, then the daughters were killed. and at last the whole family. Nicholas II died first, and he got out pretty easily. Two of the daughters, though, survived and were unlucky to do so because they were then bayoneted to death. A bayonet is a small, usually 6-inch knife that can be held at a soldier's waist for close combat. After the family and workers were completely dead, they dragged the corpses to a waiting vehicle. They used a special type of Fiat. This is a type of Italian car which the Bolsheviks specially made for putting the bodies of the Romanovs into. The driver then drove to a mineshaft nearby the Impetev house. They threw the bodies into the mineshaft. The Bolsheviks tried their best to absolutely delete them from the face of the earth. Yurovsky then finally gave the order to throw grenades into the mineshaft, which was 10 meters deep. It wouldn't collapse. It finally became obvious to Yurovsky that they could not hide the bodies in the mineshaft. He then looked for other holes by the edge of the Moscow road. He then came upon multiple 10-meter holes that were full of water. Then he proceeded to tie weights to the bodies and then let them sink to the bottom of the pits. Those bodies were one of the daughters and the son of Nicholas II. Yurovsky's driver clumsily drove off of the road and landed in mud that got stuck in the axle of the Fiat. There was a hole dug behind the car, so they threw the rest of the bodies into the pit and the sulfuric acid into the pit and shot the capsules, and the acid spewed all over the bodies and almost destroyed the whole entire bone structure of all the skeletons, after also burning them in a fire for multiple hours. To help further their case for trying to hide the bodies, they also smashed the faces of the victims. They tried to hide this case forever, but did it really go to plan in the long run? Scientists may have found evidence to prove once and for all that the royal family was actually assassinated by the Bolsheviks.